F1 boys.
Yes. Let's finish with some F1. I might throw to you, Mux. The shenanigans that led up to the actual race. Hamilton being dragged into the stewards. Max Verstappen getting fined. What was the go in some of this?
A lot was happening. So I guess, geez, where do we start? So I suppose...
I think Hamilton was the first one. Yeah, he was dragged in front of the stewards for his DRS system, or drag resistance reduction system.
I guess, how do I put this? So the wing on the back of his car was a little bit loose, and the FIA were able to slot their bulging disc in, which is not allowed.
It's not allowed to make that joke 18 times, and I've been the main offender, I suppose.
I think it's impressive that this bulging disc did. I think it was like 0.02 of a millimeter of. They'd broken the regulation, so it's not the biggest bulging disc at amongst the end of the table.
No, that's it. No, so actually, I think even before this, I think Hamilton had to take a grid penalty because
we knew he had the grid penalty for his engine. So
yes, so that was happened first, and then so he had essentially with the DRS system, your main wing at the back of the car, it flips up in the DRS zone, and there's tolerances in terms of the gap between
the supporting
top and support, and that tolerance is to make sure that all the cars are consistent across the field.
Yep.
At the start of the season, there was a whole heap of issues with Red Bull's back wing. Mercedes were arguing that was too flexible, and on straights it was bending to make the car go faster. Hamilton's wing in this race got tested. Turns out in the middle of the wing, he met the tolerance. On the edges of the wing, he didn't meet the tolerances. And he got disqualified from the qualifying session. So for the sprint race, last sprint race of the season, he ended up starting at the back of the grid.
So then part of this conversation as well, some footage did appear that Max Verstappen had actually been touching his wing. So I think Mercedes were trying to hey, the Red Bull's over here trying to tweak or tamper with. I think they kind of proved that Max's brief touching wouldn't have resulted in any bulging discs or wing malfunctions in this regard. But he did get fined £50,000 for his touching of this. So Vettel had a bit of a joke about, I'm going to touch Hamilton's rear wing, and his team manager's like, no, that's expensive. He's like, maybe I'll touch the front one. That'd be half price, one 25 mil.
That's it. Well, I mean, Verstappen must have known something was up because after qualifying, so he qualified
second.
I think it was the
second or third. He was in the top three.
Yeah, I think it was.
Because what they did is because they bring the top three drivers and they drive the cars in and line them up as like if you were in the top three. So Max has got out of the third spot, and I think Hamilton must have been one or two. Yeah, walked over to Hamilton's car and was fiddling with it.
Yeah, that's it. Like you said, he got a bit of talking to, got a fine.
I think they're going to put some more stricter regulations in about touching and where the cars are going forward with that whole process of for that. Interesting.
And then I think after the sprint race, even over Mercedes radio, you heard the team telling Lewis, "Don't go to Verstappen's car, don't touch any cars. Like just go straight to."
We don't need the fines, bro.
That's it, and it's all just got to do the.
I think it's just
the way that it works. So it's called, to get technical, it's called parc ferme, and it's as soon as. So after practice sessions, as soon as I guess the field goes into parc ferme, you're not allowed to touch or modify your cars. So that's why they want to try and keep everyone separated and all that sort of stuff. So there's no funny business going on. So and then that led into the sprint race.
So Hamilton starts last; he's 20th. So the sprint race is won by Bottas. He finishes first. Lewis, though, does an excellent job and finishes fifth. He gets 15 positions in total to finish fifth for that. Max and Perez are 2 and 3, aren't they?
Sainz was 3.
Sainz was 3.
Yeah. So Bottas got the 3 points. Verstappen got 2 points, and Carlos Sainz got 1 point. And then
big points in the context of where the championship is at the moment. So Lewis finishes 5th, but he gets that 5-place grid penalty as well. So he has to start 10th.
Yes, that's it. So I guess off the back of that, the grid was Bottas was 1st, Verstappen was 2nd, Sainz was 3rd, Perez, Norris, Leclerc, Gasly, Ocon, Vettel, Hamilton, and then we had Danny Rick down at 11 for the start of the race. Yeah,
so start of the race off, first corner essentially Lando and Sainz, I think. No, Lando and Leclerc. No, Lando and Sainz, they touch, former teammates. Bit of damage there. But the race, we should probably just cover them. Just focus on Max and Lewis. So Lewis started 10th. End of the first lap, he's 6th. He's already made up 4 positions.
Yeah.
By the 9th lap, he was 3rd. So crazy effort. And that's when we get the end of our first safety car. So
yeah, that's it. And I mean, you saw it just leading to his first couple corners, he was just able to outbrake everyone, and he was able to pick up those spots real quick.
The line he came out of that last corner, the speed he had through there, whether it was a new engine as well, we just had a little bit of extra. And he was just so dominant through the sprint race. He qualified really well before being disqualified. You could see the car was red hot for this race. But, the car is a part of it. You put Lewis Hamilton in that car, and to actually do that race was very impressive. So he's 3rd by the 9th lap. Of course, then you have the tyre period throughout the middle of the race, the strategy, etc. But it ends up being Max's 1st and Lewis's 2nd by the 47th lap. From that about 48 lap through to the 59 was just elite racing between the two of them.
Actually, even before this as well, with the tyre strategies, Hamilton on the radio was using code.
Yeah, Morse code.
Yeah,
beep, beep, beep.
To let the team know what tyre strategy he wanted to use, because they didn't want to let Red Bull know, because all the teams listening onto the radios normally just use.
Because I think he said, I want to stay on the same tyres, and then the message just kept going. It was beep, 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 beep. If he just turned his radio on and off.
I think it was mentioned just the colour of my...
But I think they came out of the pit, and then on the radio it was like, this is not the tyres I want.
Yeah.
So,
pretty much.
Anyway, it didn't matter.
Lost in Morse code.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah. It didn't matter. So they...
No, yeah.
Yeah, they can... So after that, it was essentially 2 pits. So it was a 2 pit stop race. So after that, all kind of worked itself out. 1 and 2. Lewis right on Max's ass. I think lap 49 or 50... they have the big incident where Lewis gets the lead into the, fourth corner, I think it ends up being, after the first DRS zone and the start of that lap. Max has the inside line and very much drives Hamilton off wide, and there's a big conversation about, did he open the steering, as in not fully commit to the corner and purposely drive Hamilton off the line?
Yeah.
Big talk about that and how they'd officiated, nothing done in the race.
Yeah, well, so during the race, the camera shots didn't have a camera shot of Verstappen's steering wheel.
They didn't show
which
it.
Which was very suspect, so no one knew what had happened. Even the stewards weren't commenting on it. And it really just came out after the race once they got that footage that everyone started talking a little bit about it. I think
it's very opinionated as well, because it's not super clear, because you can see the wheel is definitely turned into the corner. It's just whether he could have turned it more into the corner, or whether it was turned enough and then he understeered is what he alluded to, and then had to, of course, drive Hamilton wider.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the video, and so Verstappen was very aggressive in his braking.
There was no significant right turn, as what everyone's kind of thought might have been there, but there's no open of the steering in that regard.
Yeah, so what I saw, Verstappen was very late in braking into the corner. He took way too much speed into the corner. And you could see...
Which leads to oversteer.
It does. And you can see on the tacho on his steering wheel, he powers on too early out of the corner.
Yeah.
And I guess all of that contributes to him oversteering, taking it real wide. Hamilton just had to follow without, so he didn't touch him and crash. I think what hurt Hamilton the most was because they ran so wide. Yeah, he hit a fair bit of dirt.
Yeah, he hit grass to get back
a
on.
lot more than Max did, and so Max was able to gain a little bit more of a gap off the back of that. Subsequent to the race, Mercedes has taken that to review, so they want to try and I don't know, penalise Verstappen.
Give him a penalty of some description, hopefully bump him down a couple of places and less points, essentially is what they're after.
That's it.
I don't think they'll get it. I think it'll end up being just a racing incident.
I think so.
The main thing is they didn't trip over each other.
Well, that's it.
And you want to, we're at this point of the season, you want hard competitive racing between the two top drivers to finish out the championship. This stuff's going to happen. I think we've talked about this in the past, and it's not the worst one. And in the end, the main factor is Lewis still won this race, so it probably doesn't matter.
Max knew that Lewis had a faster car. He knew he had to do everything he could to get maximum points. Like, if he's not taking that corner like he did, then...
he's just given up.
Yeah, he's given up the championship. He had to do what he did. In the end, it didn't make any difference because, again, Mercedes had the new engine. Lewis was just too fast, was able to overtake him, and that was the end of the race. So I don't think anything will happen of it.
I agree.
It'd be pretty dirty if something did.
Yeah, because they're in Qatar and they've just done P1, which had some very interesting offs. A lot of guys running a bit wide in that, so it was a bit interesting.
I did see
some of the highlights back
before the race. It did look it was a bit dusty, a bit sandy out there.
Yeah, they were blowing some stuff off. But in their opening press conference, I asked Lewis what his thoughts are, and he's like, "I won."
Yeah.
So that was his answer. Like, it doesn't matter. It was a racing thing that happened, but I ended up winning, so it doesn't really matter too much. I think if you'd been hit or damaged the car, couldn't finish, different sort of conversation, and I think
100%.
There would have probably been a different reaction from the racing stewards if that had been the case. But play on. More racing.
They're racing for the championship. You want to see this sort of stuff happen as long as no one gets hurt or crushed out.
For the casual fan, how does he come from that far back in the grid? Is he just that good, or the manufacturers are that good?
I think it's both. I think on the day they had the right car, but then you put the 7-time world champion in that car as well. Like, they can do magic. So in total, he overcame 25 extra positions they gave to him throughout that entire weekend. So it's impressive. It's just the talent of him as a driver. There's a reason he's won 7 championships and also close in for his 8th.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, I think he got a really good start. Like, it was like we said it.
4 positions, 1 lap.
Make up those positions.
Well, and then another 3 in the subsequent 8 after it. So.
Yeah, got lucky with the safety car. So generally with safety car, you can
I don't think it would have
rest your tyres.
Or so quick.
Yeah, your tyres are fresher. After that, you can save fuel, so you can obviously drive a lot more aggressively after the safety car because there's fewer laps to actually race. Newer engine, you'd suspect, would have more horsepower than normal. And
just a couple extra, working a little bit better.
Mercedes is always known for like their top line speed. And the track didn't really have too many big corners in it.
No, but it really lent itself well to that high speed, especially on the straight coming off the last corner with the DRS there, and then leading into the following DRS zone into the 3rd and 4th corner. So it was a good track for them for that.
Yeah, good start for them, which makes sense as to why they would want to take a new engine now.
Yeah,
leading into the last few races, like this is a race that they needed to win.
Yeah, and Verstappen did his a couple of weeks ago, so he's got to make do for the rest of the season. Speaking of which, they're in Qatar. The P1's done. Max was top of the charts on that, and Hamilton was very close behind. So, excellent race to come in Qatar in the coming days. The other core kind of battle we've been tracking, of course, is Daniel Ricciardo and McLaren versus Ferrari. Ferrari had another good week. I think they finished 4th and 5th, whereas Ricciardo out of the points and Lando was down the bottom. So they've been struggling a lot. They've got a 30-point a deficit they got to make up if they want to compete with Ferrari for that 3rd spot. So we'll see how that goes. But to finish this off, what's the difference? I think it's 14 points between Max and Lewis currently.
Yeah, 14. So Max is on 3:32.5, and Lewis is on 3:18.5 with 3 races to go.
And constructors, you just had that down below.
Yeah, so constructors, it's 11 points between Mercedes and Red Bull.
3 races go, very, very close. I think it's the main thing.
Both are hotly contested.
Definitely. Final F1 news, which Giovinazzi racing for Alfa Romeo has been dropped out of his seat. Unfortunate for him. No idea how I'm going to say that name. Perhaps you want to do that for me?
One show.
Yeah.
Nicely done. First Chinese driver. He's currently second in F2 behind our boy Oscar, the Aussie, which is a bit unfortunate because I think he's the backup driver for Alpine next season. And he'll be the first in a long time of F2 winners to then not get a subsequent seat in F1. But also F1 doesn't hate money, and the first Chinese driver, plus the 10-year deal they just signed with China for the Grand Prix.
Bit of a market.
Yeah, a bit
He's
of a market
22.
of money. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I think Oscar's the same. Like, they come into the F1 very, very young.
Well, you look at all the young drivers now.
Well, Max is... He's not even 25, is he? He's 24, is he?
Great
question.
24 maybe.
Yeah.
Like, it's a definitely a young man's sport. Just don't tell Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen that.
Yeah.
Max Verstappen is 24.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Bananas.
And how much money does he make?
I want to know, Max.
I don't know, either do I.
Yeah. So I feel bad for Oscar in this.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see him come through and get a decent drive. And well, the problem is for him, they thought he was a year away. They thought he'd do okay this year, potentially win it next year, and then get his seat in F1 with of potentially a lot of all the older guys retiring, and there'll be a few seats available.
Yeah.
But he's been really good this year, and he's most likely going to win F2. So
yeah. So I mean, if he's going to Alpine like Alonso, he could drive forever, but
I think that's the thinking. Alonso is going to finish up.
Yeah, or even Ocon. If Ocon doesn't perform as well as he can, that's always
maybe he gets a seat in there next year at some point. But
it's
unlikely.
Yeah, but Guan Yu Zhou's been pretty good in F2 last couple of seasons as well. Like, he definitely deserves that spot.
Yeah. He's second. Like, he's not a bad driver. He's not Mazepin.
Yeah. No. Bright side for Giovinazzi has been picked up by Dragon Penske Auto Racing, so he will be he slots straight into a Formula E seat next year.
Very nice.
So out of F1, but straight into Formula E, and he'll still be racing.
He's a good driver. He'll get racing in somewhere.
Yeah, that's it. That probably wraps up F1 news for this week.
Yeah.